Okay, so what do you do in the art world when, no one might not pay attention to that view? They're not going to see those visual arrangements. They're not going to accept it. They're not going to learn about it. They're going to say, no, 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 this is this is that. Just remember though, if it doesn't apply to all the artists, how can it apply to only one? When I say visual statement, I always say it applies to all the masterpieces, not just one error. It applies to Giotto from the Middle Ages. It applies to Vermeer. It applies from the Dutch Baroque art. It applies to the Impressionists. It applies to the modern art, and it applies to Andy Warhol and all the modern pop artists. You say, how could pop art be anything of arrangements or whatever? Well, pop art, more than anything else, or Andy Warhol basically was saying anything can be art. If you make the arrangement of what you want, anything can be art. Anything at all. We have some spooks in there going on in the bathroom. What the kid is doing. But anything can be art. And that was the greatest statement pop art made. And so each age of art is a reaction against another age of art. And so it's always changing. And you say, where is it at now? Where is it at now? It's almost coming back to representational art. We went through everything. We went through minimal art. We went through abstract art. It's almost coming back to representational now. And all art reacts against another one. You say, do you like minimal art? I say, well, do you like pop art? Well, if I liked that art, I would have been born in that era more, and I would have liked it more maybe. But I must say I'm biased for the art I do, which is the art of, 2010. A lot different than back then. So, and my art is actually a reaction against them. Not that there weren't great artists in all those ages and all those, areas. But I choose to move on and do something of a combination. So my art would be a combination of a lot of the more representational art that you see around. I'd like to think I look at all the great artists, and when I do a picture, I'd like to think that I'm going to do a picture that can hang next to one of theirs. So when I do a painting, my competition is Rembrandt, Picasso, all those people are my competition. If I can't do a picture that I think can hang next to theirs or hang for 100 years, I don't think I want to do that picture. That's the way I feel. So I aim high, and nothing wrong with doing that. We can aim wherever we want. I just happen to want to aim for the best shot, and that's just the way I am. You can aim your art where you want and try to go where you want. In the end, you're just going to be working visually and doing what you like. And in the end, you might not sell anything. And in the end, it doesn't matter, because you should be just doing what you like visually and what you like to hang on your walls, or whatever type of art you happen to be doing, what you can do. I know there's installation art and all that, and art like that, but again, I'm beyond that. I'm not from that era where people did that. I'm a reaction against that, so I'm not going to be doing installation art and all that. Not that there isn't some great stuff done, and there is. There's great artists, and just like Michelangelo did David, there's some installations where you can walk and the whole thing works, and it works just like I say, it works visually, how everything is placed and everything, but it has to be done again with those same principles that I talk about. It's the same principles of art, the physical side, the science side of art. In other words, the design side of art, the psychological pressure of shape and color always has to be taken into effect, into a very large way, and all those disciplines can. So here you got someone like me, and people will say, well, you can't do representational art. Well, I'm making visual statements, trying to make them as tight as I can, and hopefully that's happening. But it doesn't matter if I'm even doing that. I better be doing pictures I like to look at. I better be doing pictures that when I hang them on the wall and I walk into my own house, I see those pictures that I like and do. And that's the number one thing you have to do. And you don't have to be a great artist. It doesn't matter. It just so happens that I'm aspiring to be one. That's my own business. and it fits into my plan and who I am and what I had to do, and I feel it's the only thing I can do. And so, but even if I never sell a thing or anything, I look around and every one of my pictures I feel an attachment to or something. I did them for many different reasons, and some of them I did because I liked the old time art of this or that. I looked at an old, there can be many different reasons to do a picture, but whatever the reason, somehow once I've done that picture, I feel it's me visually, at least, no matter what it is, a cat, a dog, a person, an abstract, who knows what, you know. I hit all the subjects, and why not? Pop art says you can do anything, and I'll do anything. And I'll do art that people say, well, it has to be minimal art, it has to make a huge political statement, it has to do this. Some art makes political statements, some doesn't. You know, Goya did the 5th of May. People were being shot. That was a very political statement. Goya is a famous painter. It's the only reason we know of that. That painting is still hanging around, not because it was a political painting, but it was done by Goya. And it is a masterpiece, by the way. And so you see, even political pictures, no matter how political or not, is not in itself a way to become famous. You become famous by making that picture a visual statement of what you like visually. And at the same time, you're doing something personal that you like. Always remember, if you can't hang it on your wall or put it up in your place or whatever you got to do, and look at it, enjoy it, what's the point in doing it? Don't even look around at anyone else. Borrow what you can, sure, but do only what you like. And even the colors, you should do only what you like. All that, you can pick and choose shapes, anything. It's always what you like. But in the end, you better put order into your work, just like there's order in the whole world, the universe. Yes, the universe has a somewhat of a chaotic start, and there is unorder in certain things, but through 99% of it, there's incredible order, no matter where you look, even into space. Don't think that order doesn't exist in paintings. It would exist, and that's the kind of order that people see on the walls and keep wanting to see. Some kind of order. And those pictures that, again, are still on those walls and in the museum have that order, and so people have to talk about that shapes and colors and how they work. So it's not a mystery, that order, when you see it in any painting, no matter who it is. An abstract painter, Franz Kline, you know, you're going to see a certain visual order that explains and works together. You're going to see that order. So always remember that. If people are talking about paintings, they can talk about the surface qualities, and they can talk about all the superficial things about the picture that are there, whether it be political, portrait, abstract, minimal art, whatever. But if they're not talking about the shapes and colors and how they work through the picture, or the shapes and colors or anything, even in a sculpture or an installation, then what are they talking about? They're not talking about the common denominator. And so it's hard to talk about the common denominator, because you have to have skill in deciphering shapes and colors, because in a painting there's a million ways to go wrong. Just, you know, kind of like in anything else in life, there's a million ways to go wrong. And you can go all those wrong directions and not even know it. But one way of not going wrong is always try to stay to your visual image of what you like, and you can keep it down to a bare minimum. But still, you're going to have to be somewhat of a person who has a feeling for shapes and colors and what they do psychologically on a picture. So you're going to have that sensitivity of shapes and colors, which is totally different than the sensitivity to like the literal world, and stuff like that. People apply literal things to pictures, but the only literal things you can really apply are how the shapes and colors work, and that can explain it more deeply than any other way. And it, you know, an artist can do many different things, as we see.